reach in and pull out my consciousness, set it on the table.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Oh, Miss Rusty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Public Access Podcast, the podcast here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rusty Diamond. Check me out, rustydiamond.net, hypnosisisgreat.com, hypnosisisgreat.com, or popuphealing.net. So, thank you, everybody, for being here. And I have two special guests today because that's what today's about. So, my special guests, pluralized, are right here and right now. And my special guests are HollyJo and Rob Bouchard.
We are going to do an energy clearing, not only for this podcast, but for Rusty and our connection, as well as anyone listening in later on. So just be open, be relaxed, close your eyes, and we'll do all the work. We'll talk about the details later.
Hi, Robin HollyJo of the light. Robin HollyJo of the light. Robin HollyJo of the light. Clearing this area. Clearing the channels, the lines. When that's here to be open and receptive to the conversation, to the energy.
Secure heart-to-heart connection from us to Rusty and all those who are watching, sealed and shielded by divine love and light. Setting up the connection now between our energy and your energy. Now, clearing will begin. So we start in the auric fields and work our way down. So dissolving all that is not yours. Transmuting all that is not for your highest good. Through your auric fields, your toroidal field, your body, mind, soul, spirit, meridians, chakras, all the way to 0 point, which is Gaia's core, crystalline core. So clearing and grounding all in one. Through all timelines, nows, dimensions. Focusing a little more on the bodies themselves. Now we'll bring down the golden rose ray, the ultra silver blue ray, the emerald ray to fill in all the empty spaces from above, below, and all sides.
For that connection.
Yeah, bringing down the shielding now of the ultraviolet silver ray and the diamond ray, flowing all through your body, mind, soul, spirit, well below your feet. Back up again and out. With each breath out, you're pushing the shielding out into your toroidal field and beyond, and sealing off to reflect all low vibration. That is not for your highest joy and your highest good. Grounding this below your feet to 0 point. Balancing your energies, right, left, front, back. And then we'll seal.
All right.
And then we seal this session, this healing and clearing in divine love and light. We seal this in divine love and light. We feel this in divine love and light. And so it is, so it is, and so it is.
Thank you again for letting us do that to start this out.
We can't hear you.
Now we can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, I
There
should
we go.
unmute it. I muted it because that way I can just startle everybody out who just was in a nice,
right.
nice little trance there. And yeah,
Yep.
that felt good. So thank you for that.
Good.
And hopefully
Good.
everyone else can now go
Super
back
quick
and
one, but that's
Yeah.
the best way to really introduce yourself. We both believe is that really, in actuality, most of us, our energies precede us. You know, people feel you first, even before they see you sometimes. So that just kind of sets the
That's
the
the
pace.
mood, the pace.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the energy field, and
Intentions, yep.
I like
everything
that.
tends to run smoother then. And Rob and I are divine soul partners who manage to um, cross paths in divine timing. And um, what that means for us, and particularly that we're healers, is we are literally each other's half. So together, when we're working energetically for someone else, or even for ourselves, we make a whole circuit. So he actually holds the female component, the female soul in a male body, and I have the male soul in a female body. So when our energy fields come together and for the highest good of what we do, doing energy work anyways, that complete circuit shifts everything. So and we're quite opposite in what we can do. I work in bulk. I can remove a whole lot of stuff. That's actually one of my specialties. Is I'm a clearing specialist. I can clear very, very deeply, very, very vastly all at once. And then he's the detail man. He can go in even to, a pinpoint and go, oh yeah, this needs help. And so we our talents are quite different, but together there's not much that's missed.
Right.
So then, yeah, okay. So then are you like, how'd you kind of figure this out? How'd you get to a point where
It evolved.
Yeah. So
from what?
when she started having her awakening, she delved into Reiki and was learning Reiki right
Well,
away.
that was the initial.
Well, we're telling a story of how we got together.
Go ahead.
Now, okay? So um she awakened a couple years before I did, and I hadn't even met yet at this time. So she was doing this Reiki and doing all this energy work. And then when we finally crossed paths later, then I started looking to see what she was doing and um getting into this energy work because I've always had this fascination with this energy behind me. I always knew there was this energy, but couldn't really explain it. And never really delved into it. So it wasn't until after we got together and when she was doing somebody and brought me in to help on somebody. That's when we figured out that, wait a minute, when we're together, like people are noticing this huge shift. Um, like we've had clients that wanted to come back and they were like, "Can you make sure Rob is with you next time?" Because it was just totally different.
Yeah.
So we're great individually, but when we're together, when she's talking about completing that complete circuit between the two souls, and it's just this catalyst. And the sessions that we've had with our clients have just been absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Are you doing online or is it all in person or how's that work
We
for
Both.
you?
we have done both.
Yeah,
Um,
how is there a noticeable difference or like I don't know, like I haven't.
Yeah, it can be right from
Yeah,
the beginning, but it tends to also evolve
mhm.
from there.
Yep.
Think
what
So
do you mean by that?
there you'll so in everybody's there is not any two alike for sure.
Right,
You know,
absolutely.
their experiences are so different as well as ours
mhm.
with working with them. But they have that initial experience of when it's occurring when we're working with them,
Mhm.
and then moving on days, weeks into it, they're because of the work that was done, they're going to see shifts in their environment, shifts in their physicality, their emotions, their
Mhm.
health. And they're just going to see the manifestations in the physical of what was done in the spiritual that day.
Okay.
So it
And then
just
yeah, go
gets
ahead.
bigger and more broader as time goes.
And so then, okay, so if you're working with someone that's in person, then is it uh are you going like to their house, to their place, or are you meeting in a
They
neutral
come
place
here.
or they come to your
They
place?
would
And
typically
does
come
Yeah.
here if
I have
we
a
feel like,
dedicated space
yeah.
for that.
and so does that space do you do you often have to clear it then after each person comes through, or
Yep.
how's that?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Even
Every
before they
time.
come.
Yeah, we do that initial clearing like we did here to set the stage, and at the end, we'll do another one to kind of close everything off. Because it is energy work. So you got, at
Right.
the end of it, you got to give the energy back and
Yeah,
um,
we disconnect
disconnect
energetically.
from that.
So then how's that part work then with it? How does so or what happens if you leave it? Or has there ever been an instance where it's been left open and only like if somebody turned off right now, what would happen then? Or so this would get them to hopefully listen to the end here.
Um,
But if someone were to
so
turn off right now, what
so
would
the,
happen?
the easiest way to look at that with energy work, it's like when you turn the light on, the light's going to be on, right?
Right.
So as long as you leave that light switch on, that connection,
We'll
it's
still be connected.
it's going to be connected. So when you switch the light switch off, that disconnects that energy. So
Yeah. Like when we
you're
went
not getting
this
that.
way, we pushed your energy back to you
Yeah.
So
and then us to ours and severed that
so in
connection.
senses, if you kept that energy open, essentially you'd be feeling each other's energy. Like
You could actually siphon.
have you ever been
I just heard
um
something about that.
sitting somewhere there and then you thought of a person and like within a minute they text you or call you or say, "Hey, I was thinking about you." That's because there's some sort of a connection.
You have an energy connection that may or may not be beneficial to you.
Uh, so I heard something about putting barbs in somebody with energy barbs and like and stealing people's energy, like kind of a deal to be able to
Some
benefit
people can
themselves, like as
do
a
that, like
nefarious way.
There
I
are
think
ones, yes, that are
like
nefarious.
nefarious
And
That's
or energy
but that's
sucker or
same with
we deal
hypnosis
with a
and
lot
everything
of
else.
negative.
yeah.
We've encountered a lot of negative beings, implants,
Hmm.
attachments, demonic. Um,
So
Yep.
we cross.
how's that work? What do
So
you have to do to prepare for that? How's that go?
that's part of in our session when we get to the part where we call it cord pulling and doing that. And that's when we're just identifying your physical and your spiritual and inner
light
child
body,
all the way in and out. And we're just highlighting anything that doesn't serve your highest and greatest purpose anymore.
everything, literally everything.
And essentially, we identify them and they light up, and then we take them and we wrap them up, and then we slowly pull them out, and then we heal and clear all that stuff and send that back to source and heal them and clear them back in. And that's where you're talking about. It's like those chords is like you're walking around, gosh, today I feel off, or today I feel heavy. I don't have energy today. It's probably because something has connected
to you.
to you.
So many times people, even me, I'll be good one minute and the next minute I'll get this really big, strong emotions of something. And we're like, okay, wait a minute. Is this even mine? And I can connect to that thing, that whatever it is, and create a energy cord and follow it back to its source. Like, oh yeah, okay, that's not mine. Let's deal with this.
You can figure out who sent it to you.
Oh, I can follow it right back to the source.
I'm not as
How's
good
that work?
at doing that myself, but I'll let her talk about that a little bit more.
Well, back to your first question. You
That'll
said
happen a lot. You're going to get that a few times here. So
it's okay. In preparation, like when we mentioned, with dark entities, well, that's things that are attached to other people or even ourselves. But we always are shielding the house, the land, our possessions. We've had people say the moment they pull in our driveway, they have this instant calm. That's because the shields are up. And heck, I've had a neighbor used to come over and sit on my front porch just to make her feel better, whether I was here or not.
they know something's
But
up. They
that's
know something's
okay.
going right. Yeah,
Right.
it's a good
So,
problem to have.
yeah, our what we do is very detailed in steps, and I don't want to give away all our secrets, of how we do what we do. But
just pick one
just
pick a time when you followed a cord back. It's like, why are you connecting me? We're going to go have a conversation.
Okay. When was the last time I did that? Well, I often, on occasion, I wouldn't say often, but there's some entities that live in the unseen world around us, either interdimensional or even the unseen, what they like shamanic people like myself call that the middle world, the unseen world around us. That's the middle world. And there's also interdimensional spaces as well. So there's all kinds. I don't ask me to name them. I couldn't even describe most of them. But
don't need to.
On occasion, when you have your shielding up, which everybody should do, is super important after you clear, of course.
How do you do
You
that
always
too?
want to.
That's another
Yes, you
question I'll
have to clear.
Okay.
And but so your shield is basically set for anything of low vibration not being or ill intent not being able to get through your shield. Well, for instance, there are different types of beings that are just floating around, right? Going from point A to point B.
Is
And
is this people? I'm sorry. Is this
no,
people or is this
well, it can be
things that can
people
be attached
too.
to people?
It could
It
could
can be
be
people as
people.
well. They don't often know anything of what's going on. But
Okay.
yeah, like I've been jumped by a beastie in the grocery store by some dude. I rounded the corner. I went, ew. The
What
energy was just like a wall of nasty. And I turned around, I nearly knocked him over trying to opposite the other way when something from him jumped right on my head. And it
did
was
you
just like right there in the grocery store. I'm like, okay, get it off. Get it off. Let's go.
did, did you talk
There's
to the man?
no.
No,
Oh, I
we
didn't get
did it
within
that day.
10 feet of him. I was like, nope. It was too late. I got jumped anyway. But being a light worker, working with energies like we do, we exude bright light, like a moth to a flame. That's really a lot. So these unseen beings, even spirits, disembodied spirits, they passed over and they don't know they're dead. I've had that happen. Get jumped because they just don't know. They're drawn to that light, and half the time they don't know what they're doing. But anyways, these beings, they're not dark. They just are. They don't have ill intent, but yet they're drawn to your light and they're like, ooh, wonder what that feels like. And then they'll come and latch on. And if you're aware enough, you can feel them attach. Like, I remember one time I was getting my pajamas on, and I went, when I pulled up my pants, I went, how you stand up, and this thing just hit the side of my cheek, and as soon as it connected, it almost looked like a grapefruit, like that big around, like a bottle cap, except for how the points on the bottle cap there were tentacles.
Oh, is that
Right
how a
on
lot
my
of the
cheek.
energy
Oh,
seems
not long.
okay, it doesn't
As
look
soon
like
as
that?
it hit, I could see it, I could feel it, and then it started to dissolve. I'm like, oh no, you don't.
Oh no.
Yeah,
It's like it was like cloaking, let's say, to where I couldn't feel it. So I quickly just grabbed it off and pulled out almost all of them have some kind of energetic tentacle that goes right into your body, your tissues, whatever.
It was connected to that cord.
But see, it got through my shield because it didn't have ill intent. It wasn't specifically a low vibrational being, a dark being. So therefore it just is, that happens too. Or wandering spirits, they're just drawn to your light. Whoever's closest to them, they'll be drawn to, but most of the time they're not that conscious to know. I'll find those.
Why did you say put in quotes under low vibrational or dark being? What did you mean with that?
Well, because they have I treat those differently. I'm to the point now when I get a really low vibrational, unless it's one of my shadow selves, which you innately know,
What
it
does that
comes
mean?
well, okay. So
I'm asking 1,000 different
that's
questions. I'm
all
going a lot
right.
of different
I wonder
directions,
if
and
I
I'm
should start
sorry about
jotting
that.
these down. So when we're talking about shadow selves and shadow work, it's like when you're doing your healing and stuff on the light side, on the
We're
high
talking
side,
ourselves.
talk about our own selves in this aspect. You do have a shadow side, shadow self, and that
More
doesn't
than that.
necessarily mean it's a bad thing or bad entry, but it is your low energy,
Lower vibration.
low vibrational self. So you do have to
Address them when needed.
both.
So I'll kind of explain that. So when you're born, basically the majority of the time you're either light or dark soul. That's just how you decided to incarnate that time around. So we're light souls. And as we were doing our spiritual work, and we did, of course, when you're first awakening and realizing all this stuff's going on, and then as soon as you're aware of it, then you have to deal with it. Your consciousness is okay, she's ready. She knows about it now, let's do it. And
The teacher appears.
yes, exactly. Or the lesson.
Or the lesson,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's brought to your attention. So right away, when a person first wakes up, they're like, oh, love and light. Happy, 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 love and light, which basically is everything from your waist up, all your upper chakras, all your high vibrational aspects. But then you work in depth with all those, and then it gets to the point where, all righty, now you got to deal with the lower half of you, the earthy self, and further down. So through all my like all of my talents that I now can do were all developed out of my own necessity, or Rob's necessity, out of need. And I'm like, okay, so I can do this and this and this and this and do that. And um, so as I was working so much on my higher self, mind you, when you're thinking of shadow selves or even your higher selves, those are other soul fractals of you in varying forms. So the same thing holds with your lower vibration. Your soul is quite immense, and like your whole soul, like your original souls, way back, kind of near on the level of creator. And so this is yet just a fractal, and even that fractal has components of itself. So with just the one fractal animating your body, with there's higher aspects of you and then lower aspects of you on the lower realms that are alive or not alive at this current moment, all coexisting at the same time. So as I shift, they're all connected to me above and below. All those other beings of me are all connected through my soul. So as I'm working so much over here on the light side, that starts affecting them. And it essentially starts their ascension shift, or their shift, or the evolving to a higher frequency self. So that's typically when they'll come to me and introduce themselves. And some of them have been so low in vibration that they can't stand to get within 6 feet of me because it's like acid, you know?
Right. And yeah, what happens in those instances? Like,
Well,
or do you ever
we come
encounter people
together.
like that?
They often come because, one, to introduce themselves, two, to be acknowledged, and three, so I can help shift their frequency to a lighter state, but not so much so that it causes them harm, like that acidic. So it's a quick come together, like, okay, I'll help you, you help me, and we'll part our ways. I'm here if you need me. So I've had all kinds of strange beings that I'm finding are my lower selves. Some I
What was
can't
that
even
realization
describe.
like?
Well, the first one that actually came to me was a spider, a big spider.
Like
I couldn't see it.
a like a uh an actual spider, or a
Yeah,
like okay, or like an energy
it
spider?
was
Presenting himself
it.
as a spider.
Okay,
Yeah. And
gotcha.
I couldn't, I'm the one thing I haven't quite developed just yet is to what I call a seer, someone just like as your eyes are open and you're looking around, but you can see all the unseen things too. I'm working on that. So that's kind of one of my later ones. And, but I can definitely sense them, sometimes smell them, definitely can feel them. So that one came to me because I um at one point had a fear of spiders and snakes. Most people do, right?
Right.
So lately, even for the past couple of years, spiders have been really pushing themselves to connect, and good and bad, I'll tell you. But that first me, I was actually doing spiritual work on myself alone in my other Reiki room. When I first smelled something, I went, ew, that doesn't smell so good. And I could almost, hone into where the smell was. And it was at the end of my Reiki bed. And I was like, okay, well, that's different. And then I did some more work on me. And then I I actually can just take my consciousness out of me and make it small and set it down on the table and just like work on the little me, just
How's
like I
that
would.
work? Like, I'm curious. Like, so, like, how do you get
I
to
can
that? Like
just, I
what
just,
do you is this an
okay,
yeah,
so
is it
imagine you're sitting there and this, I know some people they use when they first begin Reiki and they're starting to learn um, to do distance work, not
okay.
with somebody local, or to learn how to work on themselves. They often use like a teddy bear or something like that, and they'll put their consciousness in it, but I don't need to do that. So I just literally just closed my eyes and I was standing up and the Reiki bed was in front of me and I just sort of reach in and pull out my consciousness, set on the table. So, like a foot high or two, depending on whatever I want. I can turn it and, however I want to work on me, and whatever I do to it works on me instantly. So that's what I
Yeah.
was doing. And I'd smelled that smell. And then I got uh the smell went away a bit and then it came back. And then I was like, all right, something's there. So I just walked to in front of where I felt this energy to be. And I couldn't see it, but I knew it was there. And I just said, okay, I'm Holly the Light Force. Who are you and why are you here? And it was a female spirit, female. I didn't know it was a spider yet, but I could tell it was female. And it said, I'm here, one, to have you increased my light quotient, it said, and also to help you with your fear of spiders. And I went, oh, all righty. And I said, just put out your hands, we'll hold hands. She goes, and I very distinctly heard telepathically, well, I don't actually have hands. But so I felt like this, almost like, this part of your arm just sort of lay across my hand, but it was all picky. And I could feel them in both my
Okay.
palms lay
Yeah.
across. And when I felt that, I was like, all right, what are you? Right. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm a spider. I am another version of you. And I went, okay. I was like, just how big are you? And it was almost as tall as me standing up. So, and wider, of course. But
And
yeah.
so what happens then? Like how do you then because like I don't know, because so I work with a couple Reiki uh practitioners and a shaman. And so
Hmm.
I'm
Okay.
just learning about this now. Like we're all trying to kind of what you two have figured out, like by working together, you're
Yeah.
able to. So like if we're all working on one client, or two of
Mm-hmm.
us or three or
Mm-hmm.
four of us all working on the same client, like you can do a lot of things. But yeah, so I'm learning a little bit about Reiki, and so like it's still like I don't know, like I don't know a whole lot. So I
Well,
am
just
asking maybe
know that
more beginner questions.
Gotcha.
it's infinite and there's different frequencies. I call Reiki is just like this earthy general term of energy
Okay.
that can heal.
Yeah.
So for me, what I know it to be is pure life force energy. So with that in mind, think of all the different lives and forms that any being could be. And that would correspond with that being's specific frequency of life force.
So
So,
the infinite good to
yeah.
infinite
So
bad,
then,
and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
as a channeler, as a practitioner of working with energy, you then have the ability to tap in to any aspect you have ever been or known of, and that particular frequency's energy, like angelic or um Gaian.
Yep.
Gaia herself has her own frequency. Mother Nature, which is just a different soul fractal of Gaia, same soul, different persona, and
So
she has her own frequency. Like nature energy is like sky blue, it has a color.
so there's uh energy frequency along with light and
The life
visual
force energy.
frequency.
Yeah, and it can have colors too, depending on where it's coming from. There's one of a soul connection I discovered somewhere along the way. We're both super galactic, by the way. I ran into a hybrid that was made from my previous self just before now, who is a mermaid. And she lives on Reticulum 2. That's the planet in the Orion belt, Reticulum 2. And I was following a cord. There were certain circumstances that I discovered in the healing of me. And she was one that was open for me to connect with. And their oceans over there are orange.
Oh, okay.
Like this tablecloth here, orange.
Yeah.
Shades of that. So therefore, and it turns out she was a healer for her clan. And she was the one who kind of really got me thinking on those lines of the different flavors or frequencies of the life force energy. And for her, that Mer energy, she's actually from the original Mer clan, from all Mer people came from there, evidently. So their healing frequencies are the color of shades of orange.
Orange, okay.
Yeah. So there's that. If you work with the Holy Spirit energy, like holy fire, that can be like cerulean blue shade. What I call creator, like the male and female persona of creator of all, is like a golden rose, either separate or together, and then they swirl. Angelic can be specific to the angel, like Archangel Raphael's rich emerald green, Archangel Michael, the clearing angel warrior, his is like this bright kind of medium to light iridescent blue.
Can I ask you about Archangel Michael? Is that okay?
Sure.
I have a question about that.
I'll try to answer.
I was living in Portland, Oregon, and there was a guy I'd hang out. We had like a kind of a stoop kind of a thing, but it was like a covered porch kind of a deal. And there was a guy that would come by all the time, and he would tell me that's who he was. And
you will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life? I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist. You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair. You just need a computer or your phone. You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
Oh.
What would that signify? He would come by I lived there 2 or 3 months, and he came by probably 15, 20 times, just walking by, and he'd stop in, and one of my roommates would, he'd be out there all the time smoking, and he'd come by all the time. He said, this guy's going to come by and he's going to talk with you, but didn't really ever tell me much more. But what would be the significance of him coming by if that were the case?
First of all, know that you want to talk first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I mentioned soul fractals before. So angels can also fractalize their soul. To incarnate an incarnated soul fractal of Archangel Michael himself. And he very well could have had all of his divine knowledge intact. I've also run across across Archangel Raziel, Metatron. We're angelic too. We have that's also a big part of our soul fractal at this time is.
Okay. So,
yep.
So in my instance, if something that would have happened to me, or somebody presented itself to me like that and said, "Hey, this is Archangel Michael," I'm like, "Oh, that is it's really cool. It's nice to meet you." Pretty significant that somebody would come out and say something. It's like seeing like when you walk in like a fox runs across you. I'm like, well, what's the message of the fox? Why would this fox, especially when it's
if it caught your attention,
out of the ordinary? So sometimes when we are doing that and we're presented with, say, an archangel, one, we acknowledge them. We're like, well, hi, one, nice to meet you. Thanks for being here. Do you have a message for us?
Yeah.
And then that can just go in a completely other tangent once you do connect. And that has happened from time to time, even in a session. We're like, oh, no, hold on, so and so's here. We got to see if they've got a message for us.
Yeah.
That's typically how I look at that. If somebody, came and addressed themselves, I'd be like, okay, so, what's your message for me?
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
So he definitely was sent to connect with you for a reason. So did you actually, I'm sure you had a conversation with him then.
I had a lot of conversations with him. I don't remember any of it.
All right. More than likely, he was also a catalyst for your awakening as well.
I moved right after that. I moved out of the city I was in and moved up into somewhere else. I left I don't know, because I only lived there for 2-3 months. I signed a year lease at the place and I got out of there. Yeah. But and he disappeared. He disappeared towards the end of it. We stopped seeing him around and don't know what happened. So I mean, maybe that message was fulfilled. And so what happens when a message is fulfilled then? Then what happens to the energy when the message is passed, or the lesson is learned, or whatever the case may be, or if it needs to be,
then you can disconnect and move on.
Disconnect.
It's like hanging up the phone.
Yeah.
Yep. Just about.
So basically, and this has come up lately in some of our clients lately, and that is there's this phrase you can say, or be it an energy comes to you, or this random thought, a memory out of somewhere that you never, where did that come from, is brought to your awareness to deal with. And by dealing with it, it could be as simple as, okay, you feel into it. Whatever it is that's brought to your attention, and you say, okay, I acknowledge you. I ask forgiveness. I give forgiveness. And I now release you in love. Right? And that's kind of finalizes it, and you just let it go and move on next. There's always a next.
Yeah. What is it ever get to a point where you can't let go, or does that happen to do people not want to let go, or want to? Maybe it's people not wanting to let go.
There can be instances, yes, absolutely. Some people sometimes have trouble letting go. Some people can disconnect easily with that, some people cannot, and that's kind of where we kind of step into
but it can be done
when we're like a catalyst to help them.
Right. That's our main
disconnect.
Purpose. We remove the roadblocks to a person's spiritual evolvement.
You're right. Some clients have come back and we've had to do a little more extra digging and extra work.
And they can inadvertently bring it back.
Come back. Yeah.
Even after it's been removed. If they focus a lot of attention on it, of course, it's going to reconnect. unless their shielding is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that happens with a lot of people nowadays? With I don't know, like I know that there's probably a good amount of the country that really has a certain, how do I say this in the right way? I never really care about that, but politically they like someone or hate someone, uh, and then they're kind of like thinking about it so much. That's all they're thinking about. Do you think then that kind of is one way that they're sort of energetically bringing more of that on to make it more abundant around them? That like the more that they're thinking about it, the more they're going to see it, the more they're going to
Absolutely.
experience.
Yep.
Yep. The more you attract it, the more it's going to
Good, bad, and otherwise.
focus in.
Right.
And unfortunately that does kind of get flared, that energetic. You were talking about, you just mentioned political a little bit, and yes, it in that aspect, yes, it can get very
Polarized.
polarized or charged um
Yeah.
in that aspect.
And so uh does sound or visual frequency interfere with energetic frequency, or is it all somewhat of the same frequency?
Sometimes, depending on what it is, it could, but it can also overlay. You can have a sound frequency and light frequency, and they can just be harmonizing with each other.
Or they can
Um,
cancel each other out depending
they
on the frequency.
they can. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then so is or are sound frequency and like a light frequency, are those like if you're using a tuning fork, does that affect the energy you're working with using a tuning fork or some sort of
Mhm.
sound bowl or something of that
Yep.
that to so does
Depending
that
on the frequency of it.
okay. And so then are you tuning into that frequency, or would it be to cancel out another frequency or something sort of in between?
Probably a little bit of both. Um, there have been times where I have been doing work and have gotten a ringing in my ear, has a certain frequency, and I have tinnitus a little bit, so there's always some there. But when I get a louder noise or a different frequency from what I'm used to, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to follow this frequency because it's resonating to
Yeah.
something in that. So um,
So what
sometimes
like
I
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. So one of those times, I just looked, okay, I'm going to find this frequency and I'm going to use that to into this healing that I'm doing, because that's the frequency that's being given to me to give to them. That's their frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
what they have to hone into to get their maximum healing for that time.
Right. Every soul has their resonant frequency
Mm-hmm.
and variations thereof.
Infinite.
Much like, yeah,
Quite.
but but when you're first starting out with someone, it's almost like a radio station, you're kind of feeling as you turn the dial and then you hit that nice clear, that's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
kind of what you shoot for, but then
So
that can shift from there.
yeah. Okay. And so
And
when
every
people
soul is
oh, go ahead.
specific. There's
Specific to what?
to the soul.
Oh,
There's
okay.
it's highly specific. That energy never, well, it changes as you do your work, but I've dealt with some or interacted with some extraterrestrials, and they didn't even need a name. They would just say, okay, let me tune into the frequency.
Yeah.
As I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it, they can actually just go through me and follow that thought that thought has a frequency as I'm thinking about that person, and they can get right to them just based on frequency alone. And they had sides, and I said that too. I was like, well, how'd you do that? I can do
Yeah.
it now. But they just said, well, every soul has their specific frequency. There's no two alike.
Mm-hmm.
So when people want to tune into your frequency, how do they find you in the world, on the internet, on how do they work with you? How's that happen?
Well, we can also do group sessions. We on occasion have done that, which is helpful in certain circumstances. We have a support group like our B4 Federation. That's an online one. And we run that through Signal. So I always have connection. Yeah, everyone there has been a client of ours. So that's like follow-up care, let's say. And then those people get to know each other and support them too, get to know each other, and every one of them has something to teach and to help and has their specialties. So that works out beautiful.
Backtrack just a little bit about frequencies, and you're talking about, well, how do people attach to your frequency or whatnot? Well, people that are telepathic are great at that. The telepath, like if they're attaching to your frequency to send you a message. So if they know your frequency, then they could just be like, okay, I'm going to send them a message. And when people are telepathic or practicing telepathy, they're essentially, that's what they're doing. They're tapping into each individual's frequency to be able to receive.
Your voice carries your soul frequency. Your eyes carry your the sound of your voice carries your soul frequency. So someone can connect with us just listening to this with their eyes closed.
So
they could connect with me if they wanted. But of course, all my websites, they can get me there.
What about AI voice cloning?
All right. So there is a difference with that. You do have to use your discernment, whatever discernment tools that you want to use, because that voice does not carry a soul frequency where ours does. It may sound identical, but that's where you have to use your soul talents to decipher.
AI can be tricky, and it's only going to get more advanced as we move forward.
Yeah.
Even in the light community, it's really been heavily infiltrated by the dark side, even in the light community. So it's ever important that just about everything gets discerned. Is this truth? Is this untruth? Is this light? Is this dark? Is this AI or is this a real person? And there's numerous tools we use. We use our body as a way to decipher these things. We have my pendulum. I have my divining rods. I created these cute little things. They wouldn't let me make any more.
But then that also makes you stronger as a light healer to be able to discern between
more tools.
Between good or
and
bad,
crystals,
or AI or not,
working with crystals and essential oils for clearing and all that fun stuff. I love exploring every living thing anyway, so I just dive in head first.
She does.
So how are people diving in head first to talk to you, to find you?
Okay, so I'm assuming you will have all that listing.
Everything you listed
under
on there
here, but
for
any spiritual work, you can go to HollyJo.Bouchard.com, and that's kind of the main hub. But I'm on Facebook under the same name. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube, but I don't think that's my name there. I just started a new one. And then we're also started a somewhat new venture. And of course, we do all of our spiritual different services. But now we're venturing into like digital marketing. And the reselling of like these digital business blueprints and passive income, and I quickly realized, oh my goodness, these whoever no matter what it is they're doing, really, there's that whole issue of money mindset and false beliefs and money traumas that make it hard for people to really, really be successful like they have and like they innately are supposed to be. I realized very quickly that those all need to be cleared to perpetuate success in all of its forms for whoever that person is and whatever it is you're focusing on. So I've started incorporating the importance of clearing those money beliefs, and it's often expands out quite a bit more, inner child, ancestral curses, all kinds of things. But otherwise it's like, a salmon swimming upstream. It's just going to be an uphill battle to truly get to where you want to be and beyond. You have to remove those roadblocks no matter what it is you're doing. So I'm bringing these two together, and that one's with my Kaizen Wealth Enterprises, and I'm still figuring out how best to help those clients as they're coming in to prosper. So anybody, say, who goes to that website, the Kaizen Wealth Enterprises, to explore those options of, passive income streams. Of course, there's no obligation there. You just go and explore, and it's pretty well a done for you business. And then one thing I'm going to start imparting here is that my clients who do want to get started on their own venture through that particular vehicle, that I will help them from the spiritual aspects as well, which no one else really does.
Gotcha.
So they, get those pathways cleared. So it's a much smoother transition to their prosperity, however that manifests in their life, that excites them to help. I mean, let's face it, all successful, financially successful people have multiple streams of income, typically 7 or more.
Yep, you got to have a lot of different irons and a lot of different fires.
Right.
So something.
But it all boils down to the energetics of abundance.
Right. So something resonated with anybody, just reach out to us. If you have a question, just reach out to us. We're always checking the emails and stuff, so we'd be happy to talk and discuss.
Any of the social media.
Go into more depth on anything.
Yep. And my phone number is also listed on my one website, the HollyJo.Bouchard.com. So you can reach me through email or even call and leave a message. And I'll definitely get back with you.
Excellent. Okay. Well, and then you said you're gonna do the closing.
Yep.
The closing of the cords, the disconnect of the cords.
Yep, absolutely. If we're at the end, we'll go ahead and wrap everything up, and we'll push the energy back to you and take our energy back, and we'll go from there.
All righty then.
Thank you both so much for doing this. I enjoyed getting to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. It's been wonderful.
Do this. So yeah.
All
right. I'll just sit back and relax. So
all righty.
Easy.
At the end, everybody, thanks for coming. I'm just going to gather up all these energies from everybody and push it back to you. Love and gentle, thank you for coming. Thank you for connecting. Back to you.
Back to us.
Take our energy back to us.
And then we divinely seal.
Light, we divinely seal love and light. We divinely seal this and close this. Divine love and light. And thank you again.
And so it is. And so it is. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's HollyJo and Rob Bouchard. So find them, hit them up. Find me, rustydiamond.net, hypnosisisgreat.com. If they're listening still, I got it right here. Like, boom! When they were closing that up, right here, I felt it. So, yeah, check them out, and you can check me out. You can go to if you want to go float in the Philly area, you can go to Westchester, PA, or Princeton, New Jersey. Go to East Coast Float Spa. Tell them you want the Rusty Diamond special. Tell them Rusty sent you. I'll get some good thumbs up there and shit. So, but go the first time, go do it in the complete darkness and complete silence. Do it that way first, and you can do hypnosis with me. But I would suggest doing that first because it's cool as shit. So, yeah, thanks for everyone here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. Check the show out, YouTube, Rumble. If you don't want to look at my face, go anywhere you listen to podcasts. And that is the show. Man, boom!
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.